Today our story is not about a 200 horsepower monster, but about a 50 cubic centimeters plastic commuter with a step-through frame. To a purist, it's a toy. To the rest of the planet, it's the Honda Super Cub, the single most produced motor vehicle in human history. With over 100 million units sold, it hasn't just outsold every motorcycle, it has eclipsed the Beetle, the Corolla, and the Model T combined. Today we're breaking down the engineering miracle that was built for a noodle delivery boy, but ended up as an indestructible global icon. You'll see how a single marketing coup dismantled the outlaw image to crush the British motorcycle industry, and why this humble step-through became the literal mechanical backbone of entire national economies. This is the story of the engineering accident that conquered the world and changed the way humanity moves forever. The ultimate deception. Walk into any modern motorcycle rally, and the hardcore enthusiasts will mock it. They will point at the plastic fairings, the step-through frame, and the microscopic engine, and they will laugh. They call it a scooter. They call it a toy. They claim it lacks the raw, unadulterated soul of a rumbling V-twin or the high-revving scream of an inline-four superbike. But those enthusiasts are completely blind to the reality of the global economy. The Honda Super Cub is the undisputed, uncontested king of human transportation. Since its introduction in 1958, Honda has manufactured and sold over 100 million units of this exact machine. Let me put that number in perspective. If you take every single Ford F-150, every single Toyota Corolla, and every single Volkswagen Beetle ever built, and stack them together, the Honda Super Cub still outsells them. It is the single most produced motor vehicle in the history of human manufacturing. It did not achieve this by being the fastest. It did not achieve this by being the most aggressive. It achieved absolute global domination by prioritizing ruthless, unbreakable practicality over performance. It is the machine that accidentally conquered the world. To understand how a 50cc commuter bike brought the mighty British motorcycle industry to its knees and forced Harley-Davidson into a panic, we must travel back to the ashes of post-war Japan. The ashes of post-war Japan. In the early 1950s, Japan was rebuilding. The economy was shattered, the roads were completely destroyed, and the average citizen lacked the financial resources to purchase an automobile. Public transportation was overcrowded, and the primary method of moving goods around the dense, narrow streets of Tokyo was the bicycle. Soichiro Honda was a brilliant, eccentric engineer who possessed a burning obsession with internal combustion. He had already found moderate success strapping surplus military radio generator engines to heavy bicycles. But his business partner, Takeo Fujisawa, was the true visionary of the operation. Fujisawa understood the market. He understood human behavior. He realized that the Japanese public did not need a high-performance racing motorcycle. They needed a lifeline. In 1956, Honda and Fujisawa traveled to Europe on a massive research expedition. They visited Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom to study the flourishing moped and scooter markets. They observed the Vespa and the Lambretta. While Soichiro Honda admired the sleek Italian designs, he recognized their fatal engineering flaws. The scooters utilized small wheels that violently crashed into potholes. They used complex, messy two-stroke engines that required the rider to manually mix oil and gasoline. Fujisawa looked at the European mopeds and issued a legendary mandate to his engineering team. He explicitly stated that the new Honda motorcycle must be so incredibly simple, so perfectly balanced, and so effortlessly reliable that a Japanese soba noodle delivery boy could ride the motorcycle with one hand while balancing a towering tray of hot noodle bowls in his other hand. It was a brilliant, impossible demand. It required entirely new engineering paradigms. It required the birth of the Super Cub, the engineering miracle. When Soichiro Honda returned to Japan, he locked himself in the engineering department. He refused to compromise. At the time, every single small displacement motorcycle in the world utilized a two-stroke engine. Two-strokes were cheap to manufacture, lightweight, and produced decent power. But they were loud. They produced thick clouds of blue smoke, and they required the rider to carry bottles of oil to mix with the fuel. Honda despised two-stroke engines. He demanded a four-stroke engine for the Super Cub. The tech specs of this original design shattered industry norms. Honda engineered a 49cc air-cooled four-stroke single-cylinder engine. It produced a staggering 4.5 horsepower. While that sounds pathetic today, in 1958 it was revolutionary. Competing 50cc two-strokes barely produced 2 horsepower. Honda achieved this by engineering an oversized valve system and pushing the tiny engine to an incredibly high 9,500 RPM limit. But the true genius of the Super Cub was not the horsepower, it was the transmission. To fulfill Fujisawa's mandate of one-handed operation, Honda had to eliminate the manual clutch lever. Traditional motorcycles required the rider to squeeze a heavy clutch lever with their left hand to shift gears. A delivery boy holding a tray of noodles did not have a free left hand. Honda engineers invented a brilliant automatic centrifugal clutch. In plain English, it feels like absolute mechanical magic. The rider simply steps down on the gear lever with their left foot. The mechanical action of the foot pedal simultaneously disengages the internal clutch and engages the next gear. As the rider twists the throttle, internal spinning weights use centrifugal force to smoothly engage the clutch plates, transferring power to the rear wheel. There is no stalling. There is no jerky release. It allowed absolutely anyone, regardless of motorcycle experience, to jump on the Super Cub and ride it flawlessly within 5 minutes. The ergonomics and packaging were equally revolutionary. Honda utilized a step-through frame. Instead of forcing the rider to swing their leg high over a gas tank, they could simply step through the center of the machine. This was a calculated design choice. In the 1950s, women primarily wore skirts or dresses. The step-through frame allowed female riders to operate the vehicle comfortably and modestly, instantly doubling the potential consumer market. Furthermore, Honda enclosed the entire drive chain inside a sealed metal case. Traditional exposed chains flung dirty grease onto the rider's trousers. The enclosed case kept the rider clean and protected the chain from abrasive dirt and rain, extending the life of the sprockets indefinitely. Honda also utilized 17-inch wire-spoked wheels, allowing the Super Cub to roll smoothly over massive potholes and broken pavement that would destroy the tiny 8-inch wheels of a European Vespa. Finally, they wrapped the machine in polyethylene plastic. This was the first time plastic had been utilized so extensively on a motorcycle. It reduced the overall weight to a feather-light 143 pounds. It refused to rust, and it hid all the dirty engine components behind a clean, friendly white and blue fairing. In August 1958, the Honda Super Cub C100 launched in Japan. It was an immediate, overwhelming success, but the true test of this machine lay across the Pacific Ocean. Are you riding a heavy, high-maintenance motorcycle that spends more time in the garage than on the road? Tell me in the comments below what you are currently riding. And if you demand deep analytical breakdowns of automotive history, hit that subscribe button right now. Let us dive into the American invasion. The American invasion and the marketing coup. By 1959, Honda was dominating the Japanese domestic market, but Fujisawa had global ambitions. He established the American Honda Motor Company in Los Angeles, California. It was a massive gamble. The American motorcycle market in the late 1950s was entirely dominated by Harley-Davidson and British imports like Triumph, BSA, and Norton. Motorcycles in America were not viewed as practical transportation. They were viewed as heavy, intimidating toys for outlaws, rebels, and leather-clad motorcycle gangs. The public perception of motorcycling was deeply negative, fueled by sensationalized Hollywood movies starring Marlon Brando. When Honda introduced the tiny, friendly, plastic-covered Super Cub to the United States, the established motorcycle industry laughed. American dealerships refused to stock them. They claimed American men would never ride a 50cc step-through scooter. Honda executives realized they could not sell the Super Cub through traditional motorcycle channels. They had to completely rewrite the cultural narrative. They hired Gray Advertising, a massive firm, to launch one of the most successful and disruptive marketing campaigns in the history of capitalism. The slogan was simple, brilliant, and devastating to the competition. You meet the nicest people on a Honda. The advertising campaign did not feature outlaws or racetrack heroes. It featured illustrations of housewives, college students, young professionals, and parents riding the Super Cub to the grocery store, to the university campus, and to the local park. The advertisements ran in massive mainstream publications like Life magazine, Look, and the Saturday Evening Post, magazines that had never accepted a motorcycle advertisement in their history. The strategy bypassed the hardcore motorcycle enthusiasts entirely and targeted the 99% of the population who had never considered riding on two wheels. Honda pitched the Super Cub not as a motorcycle, but as an affordable, friendly consumer appliance. It was less intimidating than a bicycle and cheaper than a second car. The impact was an absolute tectonic shift. The Super Cub exploded in popularity. College campuses were suddenly flooded with step-through Hondas. The Beach Boys literally wrote a hit song called Little Honda, cementing the machine into the bedrock of American pop culture. Honda dealerships popped up across the country, selling the machines out of sporting goods stores and hardware shops. The competitor autopsy. To truly understand the brilliance of the Super Cub, we must execute a complete autopsy on the competitors who failed to recognize the threat. The British motorcycle industry, represented by massive titans like Triumph, Norton, and BSA, was the undisputed ruler of the global export market in the 1950s. When the Honda Super Cub arrived, British executives completely dismissed it. They looked at the enclosed chain, the plastic fairings, and the automatic clutch, and they determined it was a disposable toy that posed zero threat to their massive, oil-leaking 650cc parallel twins. This arrogance was fatal. The British manufacturers failed to realize that the Super Cub was acting as a Trojan horse. By getting hundreds of thousands of young, completely inexperienced riders onto two wheels using the friendly, unintimidating Super Cub, Honda was creating massive brand loyalty. When those college students graduated and secured high-paying jobs, they wanted larger, faster motorcycles. But instead of walking into a Triumph dealership to buy a motorcycle that leaked oil onto their garage floor and required constant mechanical intervention, they walked right back into the Honda dealership. Honda used the massive capital generated by the millions of Super Cubs sold to fund the research and development of larger machines. By the late 1960s, Honda unleashed the CB754, the world's first modern superbike. The British industry, starved of research capital and stuck in the past, entirely collapsed within a decade. Harley-Davidson also panicked. Seeing the massive influx of lightweight Japanese machines stealing market share, Harley desperately partnered with the Italian manufacturer Ermashi to produce small-displacement two-stroke motorcycles under the Harley-Davidson badge. These machines, like the Harley-Davidson Hummer, were unreliable, poorly engineered, and utterly failed to capture the youth market. Harley-Davidson had to rely on heavy tariffs and government protectionism just to survive the Japanese onslaught. The Honda Super Cub did not just sell well, it fundamentally destroyed the established global hierarchy by proving that reliability and accessibility were more valuable than raw horsepower. We are entering the era of absolute global domination. If you think the Super Cub changed America, wait until you see how it literally built the economies of Southeast Asia. Drop a comment below if you have ever ridden a Honda Cub, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss another industry breakdown. Let us cross the ocean. Mobilizing the developing world. While the Super Cub was a fun, convenient recreational vehicle for college students in the United States, it served a completely different purpose in Southeast Asia. In countries like Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines, the Honda Super Cub became the absolute backbone of the entire economy. In these developing nations, passenger cars were astronomically expensive, and public infrastructure was virtually non-existent. The Super Cub arrived as an indestructible workhorse. The tech specs translated into pure survival. Because the engine utilized a four-stroke architecture, it delivered incredible fuel efficiency, routinely achieving over 130 miles per gallon. This was critical for citizens operating on micro-budgets. The large 17-inch wheels easily navigated unpaved dirt roads and flooded monsoon streets. But the most critical factor was the payload capacity. The Super Cub was designed for 1 or 2 passengers, but in Southeast Asia, it was routinely subjected to apocalyptic abuse. It is not uncommon to see a single Honda Super Cub carrying a family of 5, or strapped with massive bamboo cages containing live pigs, towering stacks of commercial ice, or hundreds of pounds of construction materials. The step-through frame allowed riders to stack heavy cargo between their knees, perfectly balancing the center of gravity. The automatic centrifugal clutch was once again the hero. In the chaotic, unpaved, hyperdense traffic of Ho Chi Minh City or Jakarta, constantly operating a manual clutch while balancing 300 pounds of cargo would destroy a rider's left hand. The Super Cub allowed merchants to navigate hours of brutal gridlock effortlessly. The Super Cub became so ubiquitous in Vietnam that the word Honda literally became the generic universal term for any motorcycle, regardless of the actual brand. Entire generations of families passed down a single Super Cub from grandfather to son. The machine simply refused to die. The indestructibility myth. Motorcycle enthusiasts often hyperbole the reliability of their favorite machines. But the Honda Super Cub's reputation for absolute immortality is entirely rooted in documented fact. The engine was engineered to operate in the most hostile environments on Earth, with zero specialized maintenance. In developing nations, high-quality synthetic motorcycle oil was completely unavailable. Riders would fill the crankcases with whatever heavy machinery oil, or even automotive oil, they could scavenge. The engine did not care. During famous television endurance tests conducted by professional automotive journalists, the Super Cub was subjected to abuse designed to destroy an internal combustion engine instantly. Mechanics drained the synthetic engine oil completely out of the crankcase and replaced it with used cooking oil sourced directly from a restaurant deep fryer. The engine ran flawlessly, without a single stutter or seize bearing. They overloaded the cargo rack with hundreds of pounds of concrete blocks, exceeding the maximum payload capacity by a magnitude of 3, and drove it through deep mud. The clutch did not slip, and the steel frame did not bend. In the ultimate test of structural integrity, they dropped the motorcycle from the roof of a 2-story building, letting it crash violently onto the solid concrete pavement below. The plastic fairings shattered upon impact, and the wheels were bent. But the steel step-through frame remained perfectly intact. The engine casing did not crack, and the engine started on the very first kick of the lever. This level of durability is not an accident. It is the result of Soichiro Honda's obsession with over-engineering the internal components. The piston speeds are low, the tolerances are incredibly precise, and the air-cooling fins are perfectly shaped to dissipate heat even when the motorcycle is idling in stagnant 100-degree weather. You cannot kill it because it was mathematically designed to survive the worst of humanity. The modern legacy. Today, the Honda Super Cub continues to roll off assembly lines across the globe. While the modern iterations, like the Super Cub C125, feature modern upgrades like electronic fuel injection, anti-lock braking systems, ABS, and LED lighting, the fundamental architecture remains completely unchanged from Soichiro Honda's original 1958 blueprints. It still utilizes the step-through frame. It still utilizes the automatic centrifugal clutch. It still utilizes the enclosed final drive chain. When you purchase a modern motorcycle today, you are inundated with marketing materials boasting about traction control algorithms, variable valve timing, and Bluetooth infotainment screens. The industry wants you to believe that complexity equals superiority. They want you trapped in a cycle of expensive dealership maintenance, paying software engineers to reset error codes on a dashboard. The Honda Super Cub stands in complete defiant opposition to this modern corporate strategy. It proves that the most successful, most impactful, and most beloved motor vehicle in human history is also the simplest. It is a machine that requires no special training to operate, costs practically nothing to fuel, and can be repaired with a basic set of hand tools on the side of a dirt road. Whether you are carving a canyon on a Super Sport or cruising the highway on a heavy bagger, you must respect the legacy of the Super Cub. It is the machine that taught the world how to ride. Click on the next video in order to continue the ride. Subscribe to join the tribe and like this video.